Okay.
All right, just so you know. On the roof, we already kind of discussed that. The style of roof is gable, only because of the shapes that you have in the front. There's 3 small gables in the front. Otherwise, it's a pretty friendly roof for wind. In other words, most of the roof, you have plain areas where it skirts wind really well. The shingles on the roof are architectural. They usually are rated for about 30 years, but in Florida, we have a unique environment, a lot of wind, a lot of rain, a lot of weathering. You could expect 20 years on average overall, is what you expect out of a roof like that. So you're sitting at about 9 years old, so you figure about 10 years left. You still have plenty of life left. The repairs that you want to make that we're going to recommend on the roof are simply for prevention. It's not leaked yet, all right, but because you have some nails that are exposed and some loose shingles, with the right amount of wind and rain, it's possible that you can get water damage or wind damage. That's a good point, even that. But right now you're sitting in good shape, so we just have the shingle repairs. In the attic, there's 2 places to go here. You can go in the garage attic, and you can go to the 2nd story master bedroom, walk-in closet, attic access panel. A lot of words there. But I went in both, okay, and both look good. The only place I see water penetration previously is in the front of the house. You have gutters. Sometimes with a lot of rain, the gutters don't drain fast enough, and they backflow. And on the back of the fascia board, in 2 locations, you got some water stains there. The wood doesn't look rotten, but the water stain's black. So I would just be aware of it, because if you have someone go up there and say, hey, look, I think your roof is leaking above the soffit, you'll remember that that's probably why. There's only one other place that will happen, or could happen, where they got the satellite dishes installed. They've got 2 mounting brackets, 1 dish installed. And I saw where the bolts come in at the roof deck, and those areas have not moved yet. Okay, so that's good. What can you do to prevent that? You just need to do the roof maintenance. You know, so roof cement, seal the penetrations. I don't recommend removing them, because then you have 4 holes or 8 holes in the roof. Okay, I would just leave them.
Stay where they are.
Stay where they are. I located hurricane strapping and clips in both attic areas, and they look good. I collected all the information from wind mitigation data in case your insurance company wants that. It's 2005 built, so I don't think they're going to ask you for it.
Okay.
But sometimes they do. And when they do, and if they do in this case, all you need to do is email me or call me, and I can produce it from home. All right, it's $75 more later. I would double check if they ask you for a wind report. My reply to them would be, if I were you, house was built in 2005, my inspector says we shouldn't need this.
Okay.
See what they say. Okay, some insurance companies are very friendly that way. Oh yeah, you're right. Some request it and want it. Inside the attic space, I got a chance to view the insulation and the ductwork, the roof deck, the strapping, like I mentioned, the nailing pattern. Everything looks very good up there. What you can do to improve it, though, in the 2nd story attic, insulation has been moved a little bit when they installed some communication wiring. So you may want to just go up there and just see about adding some more in the areas that are lighter. It's not that big, there's 2 areas, they're not that big, but they're big enough that it's diminished. The depth is maybe 2 inches. Our 30, which you have here, is 10 inches. So if you only have the 2 inches in certain areas, there might be some heat penetration into the 2nd floor. It's hard to keep those areas cool, you know, upstairs, but fortunately you have 2 air conditioning units, so you want to maximize your benefit. I would try to get that insulated. But it's not a defect, it's just an idea of what you may want to do. And as I walked around everything, I did run the sprinklers. They did have them off at the backflow. I turned them on. I turned them back off. This way nothing can happen. So they can't say you left them on. And I ran those. You've got 8 zones. You got a big property here. Yeah, it's huge. You could set up a volleyball thing on the side of the house.
What am I going to do here?
I mean, it's great for parties, you know, and like get-togethers and family and stuff. You got the huge backyard's big, side yard's huge. But I ran all 8 zones, and the coverage is good. And there's no damaged heads, okay? So you look good there. The control panel is in the garage as you're walking towards the back wall. It's on your left. So that's where you plug it. I unplugged it, so when you come into the house, you have to plug it and program it. Also looked at the electrical system, just so you know. That looks okay. I mean, everything looks okay there. I do have a couple things I'm going to research when I get in, just to make sure I'm understanding what I'm seeing. But the basic rule right now, just for this conversation, you have 2 150 amp service disconnect boxes outside of the garage. Each one of those breakers, there's 2 of them, you turn them both off and all the power goes off in inside of the house. Okay. Now, if you walk around the garage wall, inside the garage, you've also got 2 sub-panels. Okay, we removed the covers. You'll see the pictures of these. For both of those panels, all 4 of them, and looked at wires to make sure that there was no previous overheating. I did infrared scans to make sure nothing's running hot now, and they look good. So you don't have any condition inside the electrical panel that you have to concern yourself with. They look good. And as you probably noticed, I was checking receptacles as I went through, just basic tests are telling me if they're wired right. Things are fine here. All right, I usually have 1 or 2 items in the electrical section. I'm going to give you an example of what they may be. Like there's a receptacle in the garage near the irrigation panel that should be ground fault protected, that isn't. We record that because an available outlet in an area that's exposed to weather has to be protected, so you may want to consider my recommendation. That's up to you. All right, and then there's a 20 amp breaker installed in the sub panel on the left side. It was an add-on, and it's not reflected on the sub panel legend where you write what the breakers are. I traced it, and what it is for is the central vacuum system.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So it's separate.
Yeah.
It's got your own control.
Yeah, it comes on. I mean, I don't test them on the inside, but I tested the main unit and it comes on. And it is connected to that 20 amp breaker that's not labeled. So you may just want to write that in there so you know. All right, so other than those 2 things, the electrical checked out really well. Plumbing, just so you know what you're dealing with here, all your water comes in on the west side of the house, left side of the driveway. As you walk up the left side of the house, there's a main water valve right on your right side. Okay, that's the way you shut the water off to the house. Everything is PVC to CPVC. So your distribution pipes are all CPVC. I think the stain that you see, or the repair you see above that front formal living room, I guess that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably was some, I think they made some changes in the bathrooms up there, and it's possible when they were doing whatever they were doing that something leaked. I don't know how long this house has been vacant or who was in it or what happened, but sometimes if it's a bank-owned property, sometimes the people who lived there previously yank stuff out. Could have been an accidental situation to turn water on and all of a sudden they got something there.
Doesn't look like it's from a serious plumbing issue.
No. I mean, I ran water probably about 25 minutes while I was
What
upstairs.
happens is like just directly above it, it's a sink.
Right.
So they probably did something with the sink or.
I agree with you. I think so. I mean, the commode is further to the wall, right? And the tub is on the other side. And the tub does have a leak, but there's no stain on the ceiling. So I don't know if these people actually used the tub, how long, if they used it at all. There's nothing, you have a stain above there in the access, but not the stain in the ceiling here.
You said that motor and the tub needs fixing.
Yeah, because when you run the tub, as you're running it, there's a drip, a pretty steady drip. So if you were to run that tub for 30 minutes, like on average people might sit in that thing for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just if they have a backache or something, you probably would have water damage because it leaks enough. And it's in the closed loop. It's not in your plumbing line. It's in the jacuzzi loop. So it's only going to leak when it's running. All right. All right. Other than that, I mean, water heater's working. You got a 65 gallon water heater right now. It's heating the water just fine. And the only problem I have with that, and you're going to laugh, I have to log these things. It's kind of silly, but there's a temperature and pressure valve drain pipe that goes from the water heater down to the garage floor. It's sitting up about maybe a foot off the garage floor, and the highest it's supposed to be is 6 inches. It probably will never harm anyone or do anybody any problem, but it's not correct. So when you read it as a plumbing repair, all it needs to happen there is if you want to fix it, about 6 inches is half-inch CPVC, and just attach it, and then it'll be 6 inches from the floor. All right. It's really an easy fix and a technicality really more than anything else. The most significant plumbing thing that I have really is that the tubs are missing the drain stoppers. The one upstairs, the hall bathroom tub, that side I guess it is, it drains really slow. So that would be something you'd want to have somebody look at or clean up, whatever you want to do. All right. Other than that, water pressure was good, 70 pounds per square inch, and I took it at the hose bib and I took it at the washing machine valves. So it's pretty consistent. And you know the story on air conditioning. One of them works, one of them I can't try. The air handler comes on for the other unit, but I can't test cooling or heating. It's a heat pump and I need them both to work. So I'll reflect that in your inspection report. Construction-wise, nothing other than the typical. Needs a good paint job. A couple of cracks, stucco, first and second story walls, typical stuff. This staining you see at the patio out there, I think that's because they're not controlling the water from the roof. It's very common in every inspection. But what's happening here is that I think that happens enough. You see it damaged, this over here. You see how they try to piece that? You see this area here? If you look at that, it actually is wet now. And it hasn't rained in a while. So like if you're coming this way and you're testing this and you go this way and all of a sudden you'll see it's wet. And you see that how it's getting into water? Mm-hmm. So I think that when you have a lot of rain or any rain at all, yeah, it splashes over here. And you do have a great soffit over here too. So I'm kind of surprised that you have that. Right, but it's just FYI so you know. What you can do is you could I would just put gutters on the roof. That always solves this type of problem. 9 times out of 10, you shouldn't have to worry. You got nice slopes here at the back.
The gutters in the front.
There's the gutters in the front. They just didn't put them on the sides or the back. All right. So normally, what happens in buildings like this, because there's so much water that falls, everything that you're seeing here is exactly you get about. I think the water probably puddles a little bit on the patio, okay, because it's like concrete, it soaks it up, and everything's concrete here, and that's probably up here. Yeah, I think
Structurally, I don't think this would be a big problem.
no, the only thing that happens with situations like this is a lot of times people aren't aware of it, and then all of a sudden you start to see mold get in there because it's always wet. So that's the one thing to pay attention to because you don't want that to happen. And even if it did, you just change the trim out, but it's just a nuisance. As we went through the inside, just so you know, a lot of these fixtures, you're probably going to want to either service or replace them. You know, they're not really doing what they're supposed to. Like the ceiling fan doesn't work here, lights aren't coming on over there.
Is that it?
Need some bulbs.
Oh yeah.
We're done?
Unless
Okay.
you want some more. I mean, I think this is a house really that just needs some basic repair work, and that'll be reflected in the report and maintenance. It
Perfect.
looks pretty
Nothing
decent.
really.
Thank you.
Nothing major.
Not at all.
All I need is someone a good person to fix these little things.
Yeah.
And they have, Dean has that, and they have that on there.